You know what's wild? There are people who would genuinely rather sit in complete silence with a stranger for 45 minutes than ask, "So, what do you do?" And I'm not talking about introverts having a bad day. I mean people who experience small talk the same way you might experience someone chewing with their mouth open. Just visceral discomfort. Zero tolerance. And here's the thing nobody wants to admit. Hating small talk isn't actually about being antisocial or thinking you're too interesting for basic human interaction. There's actual psychology here that explains why some brains treat nice weather we're having as the conversational equivalent of nails on a chalkboard. So let's break this down. First, you need to understand that conversation serves wildly different functions for different people. For some folks, a small talk is social lubrication. It's the way you establish that you're both safe, normal humans before getting into anything real. It's reconnaissance. But for others, and there's research from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology backing this up, small talk feels like wasted cognitive resources. Their brains are literally calculating, we're spending energy exchanging information that neither of us will remember or use. Why? And that's not snobbery. That's just a different processing style. Some people are what psychologists call deep processors. They naturally gravitate toward meaningful, complex interactions because that's where their brain actually lights up. Surface-level exchanges don't just feel boring, they feel actively draining in a way that's hard to explain to someone who finds them effortless. Here's where it gets interesting. There's this concept called need for cognition. Basically, it measures how much people enjoy effortful thinking. High need for cognition people get genuine pleasure from wrestling with complex ideas. They're the ones who actually enjoy philosophical debates at parties. But stick them in a conversation about traffic patterns or weekend plans, and their brain is like, cool, when does the actual conversation start? And this creates this weird social trap. Because small talk is supposed to be low stakes and easy, right? Except for people who find it cognitively unrewarding, it's actually harder than deep conversation. They have to manually perform interest in topics their brain categorizes as irrelevant data. That's exhausting. It's like being forced to watch paint dry while everyone around you insists it's riveting. Now let's talk about something awkward. Authenticity thresholds. Some people have a really high tolerance for surface-level interaction. They can code switch between shallow and deep conversation easily without feeling fake. But others, their authenticity threshold is way lower. Pretending to care about someone's commute genuinely makes them feel like they're lying. And that internal conflict, I should care about this normal social thing, but I don't, and now I feel broken. That's the real source of the discomfort. Oh, and here's the elephant in the room. Overstimulation. Again, modern life already feels like you're drowning in meaningless information. Emails, notifications, someone's cousin's hot take on Twitter, ads trying to convince you that you need a specific brand of water. For people who are already at their information processing limit, small talk is just more noise. It's not bonding. It's just another demand on an already maxed out system. And let's not pretend this is purely psychological. There's a social class component here that makes people deeply uncomfortable. Small talk topics, weather, sports, local news, those work when you share common reference points. But what happens when you don't? When someone asks what you did this weekend, and the honest answer is, tried to figure out which bill to pay late, or dissociated for 48 hours straight, suddenly small talk isn't neutral anymore. It's a reminder of how disconnected your experience is from whatever script everyone else is following. Here's another thing. Uncertainty tolerance shows up here too. Small talk is inherently ambiguous. You don't know where it's going. You don't know how long you're supposed to keep it up before transitioning to real conversation or escaping entirely. For people with lower tolerance for ambiguity, that lack of structure is anxiety-inducing. They'd rather skip straight to, here's my actual personality, do we click or not? Because at least that resolves the uncertainty. But let's be honest about the real reason this is controversial. Our entire culture is built on the idea that small talk is basic social competence. If you can't do it, you're difficult. You're pretentious. You think you're too good for normal people. And that judgment, that's projection. Because people who love small talk often use it to assess social hierarchy and belonging. When you refuse to play along, they interpret it as rejection, not of the conversation topic of them. So if you're someone who hates small talk, it's probably some combination of factors. Maybe you're a deep processor who finds surface exchanges unrewarding. Maybe your authenticity threshold is too low to fake interest convincingly. Maybe you're already overstimulated and can't handle more meaningless input. Maybe small talk topics highlight uncomfortable class or experience gaps. Or maybe, and this is controversial, small talk is just genuinely boring, and that's the entire explanation. All of those are legitimate ways to be wired. And if you're someone who genuinely loves small talk and finds it energizing, that's equally valid. Neither approach is superior. They're just different operating systems trying to run the same social program. You can have millions of people happily discussing weather patterns, while another massive group would rather perform minor dental surgery on themselves. And somehow we all still manage to coexist in society. Wild, right? That's it. That's the whole deal. If this resonated, subscribe for more uncomfortable truths about how humans actually work. And if you want to support deep dives that don't pretend social norms are universal laws, hit that join button. I genuinely appreciate it.